Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we've selected the top 5 JRPGs to be released in 2024 for the PS5. These are some of the best JRPGs coming out that promise to take us to incredible worlds, epic battles, and unique moments that we'll never forget in our lives. Entry number 5, Persona 3. Reload release date on February 2nd, 2024. Who hasn't dreamed of defeating dreadful shadows at night, worthy of a horror movie, while attending school during the day to enhance their powers through friendships and love, ultimately becoming the savior of all humanity? Experience what made this game leave such an impact now better than ever. One of the most beloved role-playing games of all time is getting a next-generation overhaul with Persona 3 Reload. While this may not be the much-awaited Persona 6, it's the perfect game to keep the fans busy. The modern Persona games began with Persona 3 in 2006. It was the first title in the series to introduce visual novel-style life and social sim elements, social links, 3D gameplay, and fully animated cutscenes. Director Katsura Hashino said that at the time of Persona, 3 Atlas were about to collapse, and he was told it would be their last game. He said they had to broaden the series' appeal with P3, otherwise the company would disappear. Although Kotone Shiomi is currently absent in Persona 3 Reload, fans still have plenty to look forward to in this update. Is a next-gen remake of the beloved RPG, offering fans updated graphics, audio, and user interface similar to Persona 5. The remake features overhauled character sprites and map models, additional user interface features, revamped gameplay mechanics, and a new English voiceover cast. In Persona 3 Reload, you play as a quiet high school kid who moves to a new school and starts living in a new dorm, which also happens to be home to a group of fellow students who fight evil during a period known as the Midnight Hour. The game is essentially split into 2 halves. By day, you go to school and take on extra activities like joining a sports team, working part-time, studying for exams, or making friends. Much of this is left up to you. There are only so many hours in a day, and you get to choose how to spend that extra time. But by night, during the midnight hour, you can venture into a dark tower called Tartarus, fighting your way to the top while defeating the shadow monsters that are causing an outbreak of apathy syndrome in town. What makes Persona special is how these 2 sides are intertwined, so there's a tricky balancing act in figuring out how to spend your time, but it gets deeper than that. A key hook of Persona is a Pokemon-style system where you collect monsters to summon in battle. You also make friends in the game, and those friendships, or social links as they're called, are also tied to specific arcana, meaning that who you hang out with can impact the power of personas you collect and use. The result is a daily structure that makes it hard to put the game down. I always find myself unable to stop until I reach some seemingly arbitrary milestone, like waiting until exams are over or when I hit a specific level in Tartarus. Entry number 4, Grand Blue Fantasy. Relink release for PlayStation 5 on February 1st, 2024. Who has never wanted to explore islands in the sky by boat and become the king of the sky pirates? Grand Blue Fantasy Relink takes place in the sky realm of the original mobile games world. Players take charge of a man or woman whose father tells them to sail for a legendary island. But an encounter with a mysterious girl called Lyria sets the young explorer on a grander adventure. Grand Blue Fantasy. Relink appears to play a lot like Tales of Arise. With around 12 characters to play as, the real-time combat system is all about popping off flashy and spectacular abilities as much as possible. You have your own roster of skills to utilize, and party members have theirs, with special attacks bringing everyone together for huge bursts of damage. Much like the Bandai Namco title, it oozes style and class with really colorful visuals and impressive character moves. In the same way, bosses seem to have very large health pools. Online co-op is also possible for over 100 quests. Despite the fact you can take the experience online with a 4-player party, Sigami stresses the title is still designed around single player. Across the campaign, which is said to comprise of more than 100 quests all packing collectibles and side activities, you'll tour various islands all in the name of character customization and upgrades. Cygamies was also keen to point out the story's ending should prove satisfying and won't be left on a cliffhanger. In between those narrative beats, it's the combat that'll keep you engaged. With so many playable characters on offer, the developer wants to create a completely different game experience with every character. There'll be abilities unique to each one, as well as different weapons to wield like swords, guns, and magic attacks. Entry number 3, Metaphor, Refantatio release for PlayStation 5 on 2024. The dream of being transported to an isekai world and living grand adventures is about to come true. For hardcore JRPG fans, a new title from Atlus is always worth at least a quick look. When a new Atlus title comes from the creators of the last 3 Persona games, fans know they're in for a treat. This is the case with Metaphor, Refantatio. Metaphor, Refantatio was envisioned by the key creatives responsible for Persona, and its goal is to become a significant property for Atlus. Announced a few years ago in 2017 and finally scheduled for 2024, Metaphor, Refantatio will combine a modern aesthetic with fantasy to become something unexpected and fresh. Currently, the team has the game nearly ready and is in the polishing phase, something crucial for an experience of this scale. Announced a few years back in 2017 and now finally scheduled for 2024, Metaphor, Refantatio will blend a modern aesthetic with fantasy to become something unexpected and fresh. Currently, the team has the game nearly ready and is in the polishing phase, which is crucial for an experience of this scale. Our first shot of gameplay immediately reveals some things we expect out of an Atlus RPG. There will be a calendar system, though, with days with names like Flames Day. The protagonist has a small pixie that follows him around, which could be a companion or navigator character of sorts. In a fascinating clip, we see the protagonist float skate across the ground in an open area, which will make traversal faster. We see several cuts to beautiful 2D animated cutscenes, like those in the Persona series. The visual style of Atlus remains incredibly distinct and strong. The menu screen. It is a wonder to look at, but also highlights a mysterious option called Follower, which may be linked to a social aspect of the game. The game's equipment screen reveals that each party member has a class, such as Warrior, Knight, or Thief, and that they can rank up. This could relate to experience, social aspects, or both. The game's battle screen reveals a refreshing variety of enemies outside of those traditionally seen in Persona and SMT. Metaphor will be turn-based, and a UI element at the top of the screen during battle indicates this may use the press turn system. The synthesis option suggests you will be able to do joint attacks with party members, and the ArcITP ability seems to be how you use magic. A social aspect is shown off, with the protagonist forming new bonds with characters. Metaphor, Refantatio is described as a game in which you'll enter the mirror of reality to discover the pinnacle of fantasy. Entry number 2, Kuro no Kiseki, Trails Through Daybreak release for PlayStation 5 on summer 2024. The new game in the series aims to be the Lord of the Rings of video games. The game Kuro no Kiseki, now renamed Trails Through Daybreak. Kuro no Kiseki is the 11th game in Nihon Falcom's long-running Trails series, and the first of a new sub-series, featuring its own story, arc, locales, and characters. The game takes place in the Republic of Calvar, which none of the Trails games have ever been set before, and also features a brand new graphics engine that allows for much larger areas, with the interiors of buildings being part of the same map, eliminating the need for load time or transition screens when entering or exiting one. The game is featuring brand new battle system that combines real-time action with turn-based combat now. In turn-based combat, the player can now freely position a character on the battlefield before performing an action. When combined with how several crafts now deal bonus damage when used against enemies from the side or behind, and the support system, which has allies within a certain range, perform follow-up attacks, strategic positioning becomes far more important. As shown in promotional materials, Van also transforms into a powered-up Grendel form in the story, which is also playable in certain boss battles. This form basically changes Van into a completely different character, who can move multiple times in one turn and use powerful crafts. Entry number 1. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth release. For PlayStation 5, the 29th of February 2024. Perhaps this time we will be able to defy fate and save Aerith's life. 7 seconds seem like more than enough. The first part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy shocked fans with its reimagined timeline. In the original timeline, leaving Midgar entails Aerith's death at the end of Disc 1. However, all bets are off in Rebirth with Zack's presence, Sephiroth and his clone's early appearance, and the sinister, ominous shadows. Speculation is rampant on which events will make the cut. In an interview, director Naoki Hamaguchi makes it sound like Rebirth is going to be massive. What we've done is we've taken the world map from the original Final Fantasy VII, but we've created it all in a one-to-one real scale. So all of the dungeons, all of the cities, everything in that world is now included in the same space. One seamless map, he says. So again, it's not quite open world. You can't just go anywhere you want at any time, but it is one big, seamless map made up of countryside, towns, and dungeons. The scope of this game is beginning to seem more and more impressive. Everything you remember from Final Fantasy VII Remake's encounters, from the abilities and the limit breaks to the basic slashes and swipes, return in the PS5 follow-up, but now they're complemented by a new set of moves named Synergy Skills. These are new flashy abilities that allow two party members to team up and perform a powerful attack together. Sephiroth is playable, and during combat, you can make the villain your main character and perform all the sort of death-dealing attacks you'd expect from the famous antagonist. Vincent and Cid will be accompanying characters, but Red the Third will be playable this time around, along with Cait Sith and Yuffie. Final Fantasy Rebirth, the player will have marked the return of card game to the Final Fantasy series named Queen's Blood. The team is ensuring Final Fantasy VII Rebirth delivers on everything fans of the original and new fans are looking for. If you enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel and switch on the notifications.